Hi, boys and girls. Here we are, ready to start Chapter 9 of The Doll People. I'm all cozied in because it's a freezing cold day, even though it is April 22nd. So remember from Chapter 8 that Annabelle and Tiffany had decided they were going to read Auntie Sarah's journal for clues and then plan an exploration to go find her. So here we go. This chapter is called Exploring. As Tiffany was leaving that night, Annabelle whispered to her, Let's try to have a SELP meeting tomorrow night. Maybe if we try to have a meeting every night, we actually will be able to meet twice a week. I promise I'll try to come over every single night, replied Tiffany, who understood that Mom and Dad Funcraft would be most likely to let her out whenever she asked, while Mama and Papa Doll would rarely let Annabelle out. That means not very often. They wouldn't let her out very often, so it'd be easier for Tiffany to come over. But Tiffany didn't show up the next night, and Annabelle knew why. Nora had caught a cold and couldn't sleep. Someone was up with her nearly all night. The next night, however, Tiffany arrived on the doll's doorstep just minutes after Kate had gone to bed. You're taking quite a risk, said Papa, looking at the clock as Annabelle let Tiffany inside. Nora's already asleep, Tiffany pointed out. Besides, I was careful. Annabelle whisked Tiffany upstairs. Did you see the captain? She asked when they were settled on Annabelle's bed. Nope, not a hair. Anyway, I don't think we have to be so nervous about him. I met a doll in the factory who knew another doll, and that doll had heard of some dolls in Western Canada who trained the cat in their house not to bother them. Trained him like a big horse. Cats are hard to train. Alex could probably tell us that, and Jacob, you too, huh? Annabelle's eyes widened. Do you think we could train the captain? Sure, only let's not do it right away. Let's worry about finding Auntie Sarah first. Then we can worry about the captain. All right. Annabelle reached out for the secret journal. Oh, said Tiffany, let's not read the journal tonight. Let's just plan an exploration. But how will we know where to search if we don't look for Auntie Sarah's clues in the journal first? I don't know. We'll just go out and look. I did that already, replied Annabelle. That's what Bobby and Uncle Doll and I were doing the night we found you instead. The night we found you instead. I don't know where to look. This is a huge house. Auntie Sarah could be anywhere. She could even be outside. Outside? Tiffany looked puzzled. Looked amazed. Really? And here are Tiffany and Annabelle on Annabelle's bed looking at the journal. Yes, so I thought that the next time we went looking, we should know what we're doing. But just reading the journal is going to be, it won't be as much fun as actually searching. I know. Annabelle felt frustrated and wasn't quite sure what to do about it. Well, we did say that we would start each meeting with a reading of the journal. We said that, didn't we? Yes, admitted Tiffany. Tiffany's more impulsive. She just wants to go start running around and looking. And Annabelle knows that you need a plan so that you don't waste your time, right? Or take too much danger and maybe getting caught. Okay, so let's see. So let's have a reading. Annabelle opened to the first page of the journal. I think we should start at the beginning and read all the way through. Not tonight, she added hurriedly, but eventually, if we read every word, we're bound to find clues. Okay, but just the first page tonight, said Tiffany. Even though Annabelle had already read the first page of Auntie Sarah's journal, she now read it again to Tiffany. Interesting, said Tiffany, in a tone that let Annabelle know she didn't find the journal interesting at all. They're really different, Tiffany and Annabelle. We should keep reading, said Annabelle. All the interesting parts come later. But that's enough for now. All right, let's plan our exploration. I think we should go as soon as possible. Tomorrow night if we can. Annabelle, do you think your parents are going to let you go on an exploration with me? Well, yes, after all, they already let me go out once and nothing happened. Nothing dangerous, I mean. And if I tell them that we are really, really, really going to find Auntie Sarah, then at least Uncle Doll will want me to go. Interesting, Tiffany said again, in an entirely different tone. Annabelle stared at her for a moment, not certain what Tiffany was thinking. Finally, she said, we should try to leave pretty late at night. Mama and Papa won't let me out unless they are sure all the Palmers are asleep. That means Kate's whole family. I'll come over tomorrow night as soon as I can, said Tiffany. Then we'll just wait until your parents say we can leave. Now, where did you and Bobby and your uncle look for Auntie Sarah the night you found us? Just on this floor. Then I think we should look downstairs on our exploration. It will take a long time to go down the stairs, but all right, replied Annabelle. Replied, that's another said word, isn't it? That night, as Tiffany was leaving, she whispered to Annabelle, I'll be back tomorrow night. Talk to your parents before then. Annabelle did so. She talked to them as soon as the Palmers left the next morning. I promise we won't be gone long, she said. Oh, Annabelle, said Mama, I can't let you go, especially without a grown-up. But we're going to find Auntie Sarah, we really are. Maybe not tonight, but we will find her. Anyway, Tiffany is kind of like a grown-up. Papa cleared his throat. I think that means he doesn't agree, right? Nanny muttered something Annabelle couldn't understand, but Uncle Doll said, I don't think it's a bad idea. You'll be careful, won't you, Annabelle? Just like she thought Uncle Doll would want her to go. Of course. Annabelle heard more throat clearing and muttering, and she saw a lot of long looks exchanged between Uncle Doll and the other grown-ups. Then Mama said, You must promise to stay out no longer than 2 hours. You mean I can go? Squealed Annabelle. Oh, thank you, Mama. That night, Kate was restless and couldn't fall asleep, so Grandma Catherine sat beside her, and by the time the light from Kate's little lamp read to her, So Grandma Catherine sat beside her, and by the light from Kate's little table lamp, read to her from Stuart Little, a book that Annabelle liked quite a lot. Grandma Catherine read one chapter, but Kate was not sleepy yet. She began another. Halfway through it, Annabelle, who had been left standing in the kitchen and had a good view of Kate's room, noticed a small movement in Kate's doorway. She looked closely and saw that the shape at the door was Tiffany's. Annabelle nearly gasped. She wondered whether Mama or Papa or Uncle Doll or Nanny had noticed it too, but she couldn't turn her head to look for them. All she could think to do was to close her eyes and hope fervently, that means like hope so much fervently, that Tiffany would disappear. So she closed them and hoped. When she opened them again, she saw Tiffany scooting under Kate's desk and then under her bed. There were so many things wrong with what Tiffany was doing at that moment that Annabelle could barely count them. Tiffany risked being seen by Kate or Grandma Catherine. She risked running into the captain. She risked doll state. She risked permanent doll state. Annabelle's head was spinning. At long last, Kate grew drowsy and fell fast asleep, and Grandma Catherine closed the book and turned off the light. She tiptoed out of Kate's room. In a flash, Tiffany sprinted across the room and scaled the steps of the stool. Scaled is another word for climbed. And when it said that Annabelle's head was spinning, was it like really spinning in circles? No, her brain was really thinking of all the things that Tiffany was doing wrong and what could go wrong by her doing that. That's what that meant. Okay, so in a flash, she was scaled the steps of the stool. Annabelle stole a glance, that means looked really quick, at Mama and Papa. They were shaking their heads. Annabelle ran to the edge of the dollhouse. You're here too soon, she said in a loud whisper. Did you see what I was doing? Interrupted Tiffany. Annabelle began to say. I was blended. Shh! Annabelle cut her off. We aren't supposed to know about that. And anyway, that was not proper blending. Annabelle was so nervous about Mama and Papa and the exploration that she was shaking a little. Tiffany, we are not going to be allowed to go, she said. Mama and Papa did say I could search for Auntie Sarah, but I think they meant sometime in the future. Tonight, they're all nervous because they've seen the captain prowling around. But Annabelle was allowed to go after all. And it was Uncle Doll who saved the day. When Mama and Papa told Annabelle they thought it was too dangerous for her to go searching for Auntie Sarah after all, Uncle Doll simply said, quietly but very firmly, I am not going to let this happen again. Mama and Papa fell silent. I wonder what he means. I'm not going to let this happen again. 2 hours later, Annabelle and Tiffany were climbing down the steps of the stool. They didn't say a word until they reached the hallway outside. I wish you could come see my house, Tiffany whispered. So do I, replied Annabelle. But we don't have much time tonight, only 2 hours before I have to be back home. We had better start searching right away. I'll get to see your house another time, she almost added, and maybe Auntie Sarah will be with me. Then she thought better of it. She didn't want to jinx the exploration. Jinxing means like, oh, this is going to happen, and if you say it does, it might not happen. It's not really true, but some people feel like that. All right, where are the stairs? Asked Tiffany. This way. Annabelle showed Tiffany to the top of the first flight of stairs that led to the living room below. Tiffany looked down. Wow, it is a long way. Okay, let's get started. 15 minutes later, Annabelle and Tiffany sat puffing on the living room rug. Annabelle looked up at the grandfather clock. Come on, she said. Let's look in the living room first. I've been wondering if Auntie Sarah had an accident while she was blending, and I think she did most of her blending here. Remember, that was how she kind of just blended into the background so she could hear and see the things that were going on? Because this is where the Palmers used to spend their evenings. The big radio was in this room. You know what, said Tiffany, if Auntie Sarah fell off of a table or something, she could have gone down one of the heating vents. Let's call down the vents. So Annabelle and Tiffany called softly down the vents. You know where your heat comes out of your floor? In those little grates, like with the metal things over the top of them, or maybe they're wood. Yeah, so they're yelling down those. So Annabelle and Tiffany called softly down the vents. Then they looked under the couches and armchairs. There's the captain's bed, Annabelle said to Tiffany, pointing to the old sweater. He's not in it. I wonder where he is. Annabelle didn't see him that night, though, and she and Tiffany didn't find Auntie Sarah. Finally, Annabelle, glancing again at the grandfather clock, said, We have to be back in 15 minutes, Tiffany. We'll just make it on time. But Annabelle had forgotten that it would take a lot longer to climb up the stairs than it had taken to scramble down them. By the time she and Tiffany arrived, puffing at the doorway to Kate's room, they were nearly half an hour late, so it took them 45 minutes to climb back up. That makes sense, though. This is not good, Annabelle whispered. Mama and Papa are going to be angry. Do you want me to come with you? Asked Tiffany, glancing toward the doll's house. No, thank you. It's okay. I had better go by myself. Come over again tomorrow night, though. All right. See you. Tiffany hurried down the hall to Nora's room, and Annabelle returned to her house. And this is a picture of how big Tiffany is next to a door. Do you see how that looks like a door? I'll back it up a little bit. And see Tiffany down here in the bottom corner, and then the doorknob, whoops, up there. When at last she scaled the top step of the stool, she found herself facing Mama and Papa Doll. They were standing in the parlor with their arms folded across their chests, waiting for her. Oops, thought Annabelle. Look at what she came up to. Look at that. Mama and Papa Doll, they do not look happy, do they? No, they do not. All right, that is the end of chapter 9. And chapter 10 is called Uncle Doll Moves Out. I wonder why. Bye. See you later. Miss you.